Instead of borrowing $65 billion from banks to invest in EV development, Volkswagen are borrowing this money to invest on internal combustion. Volkswagen have just announced they're going to spend billions, and I mean literally billions of dollars, on new internal combustion engines because apparently that's a smart thing to do. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking, as you can tell by the name of the channel. EVs, that's what the future is. That was the whole purpose of me starting this YouTube channel, to basically say, you know what, the entire automotive industry is in disruption. Yeah, it's trying to confuse customers by lying to them, trying to say EV demand isn't there. It's going to take, General Motors CEO Mary Barra said it's going to take decades for this transformation, this disruption to happen. Now, of course, legacy automakers want you to believe that because that's what they want to happen. They don't want to lose their businesses. However, the reality is that's not going to happen, regardless of what Volkswagen does, regardless of Volkswagen's hopes to slow the transition down. Now, Volkswagen have just announced within the last few days that they will spend billions of dollars on gas engines. And the irony here is they're saying they're taking away billions of dollars from their EV development budget and putting it into the development of internal combustion engines. Honestly, I think this is absolutely insane. I mean, when have we ever seen anything amazing come out of this? Now, Volkswagen's last development where they announced, I think it was $7 billion they're going to spend, this is about 5 or 6 years ago, on internal combustion. How much different is a Volkswagen internal combustion engine now versus 5 years ago? If you can legitimately tell the difference between a 5-year-old internal combustion Volkswagen engine versus one made today, honestly, I'd be willing to pay you $1,000 on the spot because you'd have to be an utter genius. The efficiency, I mean, how can you tell the difference? It's almost impossible. Now, my parents have a couple of Volkswagen cars. Well, one's newer than the other. Both of them have diesel engines. They're both, they're different, coming from different years, coming from different iterations. I can't tell the damn difference between the two of them. Anyhow, it's fair to say the transition to EVs isn't going as some automakers planned because, well, they can't make a profit selling EVs. That's the key reason why for them they're trying to slow this down. Volkswagen estimated that EVs would account for as much as 80% of its sales in Europe by 2030. That would make sense, especially considering we know the cost declines of batteries. We know that within the next 12 months, it's going to be cheaper for many car companies, even including BYD, to make an EV than an internal combustion engine. Anyhow, of the $196 billion set aside in 2023 for its next generation EVs, Volkswagen will now use 1/3 of that to develop internal combustion engines. Now, 1/3 of that would suggest the company will invest $65 billion on internal combustion. This is a direct quote, guys, from Motor One. The company, the chief financial officer, Arno Antilits, and the chief operating officer said the company intends to spend roughly $60 billion to keep our combustion cars competitive. That's 60 billion euros. So that's about $66 billion US. I can't believe this number. It's utterly mind-blowingly insane. Guys, keep in context here. The Volkswagen Group have $186 billion of debt. Who's going to loan them all? I mean, this isn't going to be like cash Volkswagen just grabs out of the sky. They've got to literally get massive loans in order to invest $66 billion on gasoline-powered engines. Unbelievable. Speaking at an event held by Reuters in Germany, the CFO and the COO added that the future is electric. The future is electric, they said, but the past is not over. Let's invest $65 billion into the past. Great idea. Sounds exactly like Nokia or BlackBerry. BlackBerry, maybe. Actually, this sounds a lot more like Kodak to me. They said it is 1/3 and it will stay 1/3 of the EV budget. So they're basically taking away from the EV budget to give to gasoline. It's a stark departure from the plan that they announced in 2022 under Herbert Diess, the former CEO who was fired, to build and sell only EVs in Europe from 2033. Guys, keep in mind, around the year 2033, a lot of the new technology that is emerging now will be old technology. We're going to see EVs then easily having 800, 1,000 miles of range. And I mean, for example, they did a charging test on some of Geely's new EVs recently. They were able to charge to 80% in 11 minutes. 11 minutes today. Imagine how fast they can charge in 9 years from now in 2033, right? Maybe what, 7 or 8 minutes? And you're telling me that people are going to choose a gasoline-powered car in 2033 instead? Last year, Volkswagen brand boss Thomas Schaefer referred to ICE, or internal combustion technology, as being old tech in the context of e-fuels. He described the discussion surrounding synthetic fuels as being nothing more than unnecessary noise. Now, that's despite the fact that Volkswagen Group brand Porsche is involved in producing synthetic fuel at a factory in Chile. Because obviously Porsche is hoping to keep internal combustion alive for sports cars. It thinks that's necessary, and it might be right. Look at Porsche's sales in China. They're collapsing. Other high-end marquees from the Volkswagen empire are keeping a close eye on how sustainable fuels evolve. Bugatti is thinking of designing fuel stations that could be installed at the owner's home and filled up with synthetic fuel. Bugatti, I mean, imagine that. Install a fuel station at your house. Genius. What? This is hilarious. Lamborghini believes the combustion engine could be saved by making it run on something other than fossil fuels. Bentley is exploring nearly carbon neutral fuels. Nearly. Yeah, okay. Speaking of the crew-based marquee, Bentley has pushed back its objective to become EV only by 2030, delaying it by 3 years. Ford no longer thinks it can go entirely electric in Europe by 2030. Aston Martin recently reversed course as well and will continue to produce cars with combustion engines into the next decade. Guys, this is insane because none of these manufacturers have produced a compelling EV. None of them have. I mean, honestly, guys, have a look at the technology in, say, a Zeekr 009, right? Have a look at the battery pack in that car. It's a very big car, right? It's massive. It's 5.3 meters long, more than that. In fact, it's like an enormous SUV. It's still got 700 kilometers of range. Battery will charge at 550 kilowatt speeds. It has literally 690 horsepower. It's got 7 seats. Like, who in their right mind would choose internal combustion over that kind of technology, right? Batteries, LFP batteries, right, that will last for 1 million miles. I mean, there is no advantage to anything made in internal combustion. I genuinely think the problem is with these manufacturers. They've said EVs aren't going to stick. They've said EVs aren't popular because they've made products that are below par. They're not class leading. It's very similar to BMW. When BMW made the i3, they said, look, we told you, no one wants EVs. This was back in about 2022, 2021. Told you no one wants EVs. No one's buying the i3. It was expensive, overpriced. It had very, very tiny range, and BMW basically made a crappy product and said, or an average, below average product, and said, proof, no one wants EVs. Now, they changed tack after that, realizing that was pretty stupid. But this is crazy. It's clear that more and more car companies are reevaluating their EV strategies as people aren't willing to let go of internal combustion just yet. But people like that, they don't live in China. So here's the thing. In China, an EV costs the same as gasoline, sometimes less than a gasoline-powered or a petrol-powered car, right? The technology of cars in China is better than the technology of cars in, for example, in general in Europe or in general in America. If that were to change, if, for example, EVs were the same price in Europe and America and the technology was better than what it is today, then you'd see that completely reverse. And we're looking at only a couple of years before that's going to happen. So what do you guys think about this? I personally think this is an incredible mistake, a $66 billion mistake that could literally sink the company. I mean, really, disruption from China's coming. And now Volkswagen is just making it so much worse for itself by digging a debt hole. They have $186 billion in debt. Borrowing this extra $66 billion, what does that put them in? $250 billion of debt. Crazy. Thanks for watching.